make it.
Here we are, back again.
We're going at it. And you're powered by tequila and tacos.
According to my shirt, I am.
That's you.
I don't know how true that is, really, though. I drink tequila once a year. Probably have tacos more often than tequila.
If someone asks me anything about you, I say Kristen loves to pound back tequila. She's a nightly tequila drinker.
Tequilas and taco do go well together, though. We actually pounded them back pretty hard last time we were in LA.
Yes.
Yeah, like a nightly thing.
We found a restaurant. LA's not a cheap city to exist in, to visit, to live, to, just be there. But we found a restaurant that was very inexpensive. When I worked at a call center many years ago, a random guy I cold called, he said, never say the word cheap, always say inexpensive, because cheap devalues something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I took that, I never used the word cheap.
That's good advice.
Say inexpensive, yeah. So this restaurant, very inexpensive, because you say very cheap, it does.
It's high quality, inexpensive stuff, happy hour stuff.
Great deals, and they had a lot of tacos and a lot of tequila. So for 4 days while we were there, we definitely were powered by tequila and tacos.
Well, I'll say I am a inexpensive drunk, and it only took me one order of tacos and tequila to stumble my way back to our hotel.
In that context, it's probably okay to say cheap. And as you get older, it's something you want to be, because when you're young, you want to brag about how much you drink, or most people do. But as you get older, it only takes me a beer and a half, and I feel drunk now.
It's true. Welcome to Make It with Mike and Kristen,
where creative people talk about what they make and what making it means to them.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We're getting good at these intros, huh?
I didn't have to flex that. Remember last episode, we came up with the code. If you forget to do the intro, I go,
that's right. You can flex anyways.
Oh, I guess I'm doing it now. You go like this back and forth really fast.
Maybe that's like the Pilates move that you always do. If I'm working out, you always walk through the living room and do this move because you said your mom used to do it at Pilates. Yeah, I guess that's for...
You know, the guy that invented Pilates was named Joseph Pilates.
I did know that. Yeah. Makes sense.
I know someone who was on set. I forget what the film or show was, but the guy who played Jesus in, what was that movie? The Passion of the Christ.
Okay, I was going to say Jesus Christ Superstar.
Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel. Okay. Is that how you say it? I think it was Jim Caviezel. I haven't thought of this in a while.
Vin Diesel? No?
No, Jim Caviezel. So before every scene, he would get down and do like 25 push-ups, 30 push-ups, just to have that little pump and look a little bit more
like
jacked.
Jesus?
Yeah, no, but in the film he was shooting in Halifax, not the Passion of the Christ. I'm sure he did it in Passion of the Christ too. Yeah. Maybe that's where he learned the trick. But before every scene, he would do push-ups just to look a little more muscular.
We should do that, I think, before this every time now. Yeah, get a little pump on.
Because that's a big thing we're trying to convey with this particular podcast is...
how muscular we are.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, this week's guest, Richie Wilcox, I'm sure has lots of trade secrets. So while this particular one did not come up for theater and live performance and being in front of an audience, I think that a lot of his, behind the scenes stuff did.
He's a very talented guy.
Very talented, started out with music. He talks about how theater's always been sort of part of his soul and in his blood. Yeah. Growing up in New Waterford, Cape Breton, near where you're from.
Yeah.
And he was a contestant and a top 10 entry on Canadian Idol. Yeah. Shared the stage with Rita MacNeil as a young age.
When he was really young, yeah. It sounds like theater was always his dream and passion, and part of theater is singing.
Yeah.
So the singing was there for the theater side of things.
Of course. It's all part of the performance muscle, I guess. See what I did there?
Yeah.
And he has also started his own theater company, HEIST,
Yeah.
and they are releasing a new show.
Coal Bowl Queen.
Which we have tickets for, and you're extra excited for this, being both a Cape Bretoner and a basketball fan.
Yeah. I've never played in the Coal Bowl, but I know what it is and knew what it was growing up. Our team just never got the invite, unfortunately.
Did you have to qualify though?
I've no idea how you got into that.
Yeah.
But it's an annual tournament, basketball tournament that happens in Waterford. And it's been happening, I guess, since 82. So it's the same age as us.
Yeah.
Teams from all over Canada come to this tournament to play. While they're there, they're kind of engrossed in New Waterford culture. They have to write a test on it. This comes up in the conversation. And it's an event where the whole community rallies behind it. They used to have a pageant where there was someone voted the queen off the Coal Bowl, as the name implies of this play. But yeah, Richie has an amazing play written that encapsulates small towns, basketball, and I think there's a little bit of a mystery in there. Someone trying to find their parents, I believe.
And he is collaborating with some of the most brilliant professionals in this industry.
Yeah.
So you know that everything from lighting to sound to costumes, they will be considered. And they interviewed up to 50 or right around 50 people that had participated in some capacity in the Coal Bowl in their life. And that informs part of the script and the performance. So it's well researched. It's representative of Cape Breton, but I think we all can reflect on these types of celebrations and festivals we had in our own small towns.
And I'm sure with Richie, it's funny. I'm sure it's very serious. There's some issues that we all deal with that are probably implanted in there. So it's not just one thing. It's going to touch on a lot of different feelings and ideas and just what it is to be human.
So the episode for this is out Wednesday, today, if you're listening, on launch day. The show launch at Alderney Landing is on September 11th, so the day after the podcast launch, and you and I are going on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to kind of follow up with our review later this week, but very excited to check out that matinee.
Yeah, and he's just a really nice guy, just very talented.
Super smart too.
Professor.
Yeah.
Well, he taught, he gets into the education side of things, but he taught as a professor for 4 years out in Alberta.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're lucky that he was able to squeeze us in because he's in the midst of rehearsals and all the things that directors are responsible for before show launch. So just want to give a huge congratulations to Richie and his cast and crew and our gratitude for him spending time with us here at Hot Jupiter Sounds.
So what else? What else you got on the go?
I'm making pie.
Yeah.
My dad's girlfriend found in our kitchen in our Clarence house my mom's old homemade jean apron, which my friend Steph coined a japron, which I love.
You got to send a picture. I'll put it in the video.
Okay, yeah. So Mom would have made this, and it's very 80s, which makes it brilliant. And I have been using just a plastic water bottle for a rolling pin for the last few weeks in my baking adventures because I was holding off for a special rolling pin. Like I just couldn't bring myself to buy one at Canadian Tire. And she found my mom's old rolling pin too. So now I have both of those treasures to kick off this I
am very excited for the pie journey ahead. Mm-hmm. I get to be a part of it You're
the professional taster.
Yeah. Try not to taste too much pie right now. After summer, you got to take your pie break. Summer's mainly the pie time.
Drop some of the pie weight.
But eating good, generally exercising a lot. I'm sure I'm allowed to have a slice of pie here and there.
I think you've earned a slice of pie.
I burnt what was 1,200 active calories the other day on the bike. So that was the most I ever did.
And you get some new bike shorts too, didn't you? Yeah.
My arse gets sore.
Check those out later.
But why don't you go start on that pie and I'll start on the editing, and you folks tune in to Richie Wilcox, an amazing conversation we had with him.
Sounds great. Woo.
Okay.
Make it. We used to play the half.
Yes.
Of course.
in Inverness,
Yeah.
which talk about rough.
That's where I started my career.
I bet.
So we've told this story before on the podcast even, but our first date, he's from Inverness, and I was like, oh, I've been there before. I went to this bar called the Hoff, and I saw this band playing.
Oh my God.
Mike's like, I always used to play there. And I was like, let me dig out my photo album. And sure enough, I have a picture of his band playing, and went to the after party that the singer was throwing. And it was just, and then of course, because this was years and years ago, you have this moment of like, oh, this is love for sure, right?
I love that. Recently, I feel like I was at the Legion in Inverness. Maybe a couple of years ago, just like 2 years ago in November. I was with my friend Simon, and we were in the back. He was like smoking. We're in the back parking lot. And normally, because I'm from Cape Breton, right? Aaron's from PEI. So I'm the one, and I was on Canadian Idol back in the day. So I'm used to somewhat being known or recognized. And I'm at the back of the Legion in Inverness, and this guy looks at me and he's like, "Are you Aaron Collier's husband?"
That's awesome.
I was like, "What?"
He's got the Jimmy Swift fame there.
Exactly.
Right.
It's the Hoff, and Jimmy Swift was a real connection. Anyway, it was
so
quite
where did you two meet?
Oh, that's like a major story. But Aaron saw me on TV first before he even met me.
Canadian Idol?
Yeah, during the auditions. He watched it with his mom and his best friend, and they were watching the Halifax auditions, and I was on it and got a gold ticket, and he was like, that guy's
I'm in
cute.
love. Yeah.
And his mom agreed. And then when he had a little vacation from the Jimmy Swift, like they didn't have a gig for a week or something. And so he was in Halifax, went to the gay bar Reflections at the time. And he was with my friend Travis, and he was like, I think is that the guy from Canadian Idol? And I was on the other side of the room going, who is that with Travis? And so it was really like a love at first sight kind of thing. And then we kept running into each other for like 4 or 5 times that week in Halifax, because it's a small town. And so finally we were like, we have to go on a date. And then
Fate.
22 years later.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big deal. You guys celebrated an anniversary recently?
Yes. In August.
Summer, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's been over 20 years, which is wild.
So New Waterford boy is on Canadian Idol. Top 10.
Yes.
My soul.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the
it was a
days.
big deal back in the day. It may still be. We just don't really
I don't
watch
think it exists
television.
anymore.
Okay,
No.
so maybe it's not. Okay.
not.
It's
How old were
corrected.
you when you were on there?
I would have been 23.
Yeah.
And not like not a musician, not trying to make it as a band, as a singer, nothing like that. I was a theater person, kind of my whole entire life. And so I would go to karaoke at Bailey's and loved it every Wednesday. And so my friend had asked me, they were like, they were writing for The Coast at the time. They were like, will you write an article on the experience of auditioning for Canadian Idol? And I was like, that sounds fun. I had no plans on doing it. And so then I did it. And then it just kept going. And going to Toronto and living in a mansion with the other contestants for a little bit. And it was pretty wild and unexpected for me. And I never actually ended up writing that article because
you were on it.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Was it research?
I mean,
going on the show? Was it intended in the early days of being research for this article?
That was the intention. I slept overnight in the lineup to just get that experience. And then I ended up actually out of that gig writing for the Daily News. I reviewed reality TV shows because this was in the early 2000s and reality TV was all over. And so I ended up having to watch a reality TV show every week and then writing an article on it. And I hated them. But because I was on reality,
Survivor would have been going, Big Brother.
Yeah, but also like many politically incorrect reality TV shows.
The Swan.
Or like Wife
one?
Swap.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Like there was
brutal.
Average Joe to Hawaii.
Like I never want to see them again. And so I was having to write journalism around these real trash shows. But I did that for, I think, 2 years.
Were you being honest from your perspective, or was it more like a synopsis of this is what the show was about this week?
No, I was being honest and uncensored because that's who I am. And I wasn't being paid to advertise these shows.
Okay.
And so if you're going to make me watch it, then sorry, you're going to get my opinion. And I think that's also why I probably lost that job.
I'd like to dig up some of
those articles.
So you said you weren't musical, but obviously you're a very good singer.
Yes.
Or you weren't into pursuing music,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess. Yeah. But what was your life like growing up in New Waterford? You said theater was an important part of it, but how did all this come into your life?
That's a great question. I think that, it's like music is in New Waterford and in Cape Breton, I think, just in general for everyone. I grew up listening to lots of mining songs and singing sea shanties with my relatives. A lot of my uncle is one of the lead singers in the Men of the Deeps. And so definitely heard all of that growing up. And then, I sang from a young age. Like I said, I just never pursued it. But I was in choir in music class in elementary. That then kind of the first thing that happened, I guess, that sort of shifted it was my music teacher asked me to audition for a Rita MacNeil Christmas special. And so that was in grade 5 and something around grade 5. And I got the part. And so I played Rita MacNeil's nephew in the show. And got to sing Away in a Manger and had a week-long filming experience in North Sydney, which was a huge deal to me. And
the film capital of North Sydney.
And so I really, that probably was the first time that it was like, oh, this can be a job. You can actually do this type of thing. Because I got a great paycheck. And then I just started in grade 7. I did Festival on the Bay in Glace Bay, and so that was the first real theater experience that I can remember that started to shift things again. Where it's like, oh, I was doing shows with adults as well, right? In Festival on the Bay, and so you're kind of looking at these people going, maybe this is something I can do when I grow up, quote unquote. And that was musicals for sure. So
it feels like
singing.
such an important experience to have as a young person when you're questioning whether or not this is a practical or doable future. I think a lot of people, we often talk about being from small towns and growing up just feeling like that's for somebody else, like the big city lights and this glamorous sort of existence that you dream about. But, when you live on a farm and your parents have kind of humble jobs, like it just didn't seem possible. So being on stage with some of these huge local performers must have just been like confidence 101 from a kid.
Yeah. And there is a bit of fear, like maybe about taking the risk and trying to do it. I think that I come from a family of teachers mostly. And so there was always the kind of question of, well, you can get your education degree for your fallback plan.
Right. The classic fallback plan.
The classic fallback plan. And it took me I didn't do an education degree, but I did pursue theater degrees like to a master's, and then I was doing a PhD, kind of looking at being a professor. So I was doing the major fallback plan. But that it just never, that actually wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the art. And so while I did pursue those things and gained a lot of knowledge and learned a lot of things, but it wasn't, I'm glad that, I finally just stepped into it. And that was a big
Did you step
choice.
Away from the PhD?
Yeah, so I did a PhD. I'm all but dissertation, and even that I have half of my dissertation written.
Oh, buddy!
But at the same point, I was working. I did 4 years of teaching at the University of Lethbridge as a professor, and I taught over 7 different courses in those 4 years, and so I had the experience of teaching. And while I love it, I don't necessarily love the bureaucracy and the institution of universities, and so I wasn't enjoying it. And so I left a very secure job with a salary and all of that, and probably could have moved into tenure. But I left it because I wanted to do the art. which is wild to think about. Because I remember one of my friends being like, Richie, this is like, I'm really impressed by your choice, because a lot of people wouldn't do that. And I didn't even really think about that. I was like, well, I'm not, I can see my life, my future, where I'm going to be bitter.
Yeah.
I'm going to be one of those bitter professors who just aren't happy with themselves about their choices. And that I've seen it happen. And I didn't want to be that person.
You followed your calling. Your soul told you to go in that direction, and that's what you're meant to do.
Yeah, and it is also part of that was, I think, a calling of home too. That we need, like, I didn't want to live in Alberta anymore. That Nova Scotia and the ocean and my family, it was all kind of calling us home.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story for people to hear, like to have that permission as well, because you also had the benefit of experiencing more or less the life that you would have if you continued down this road.
Yeah,
I think we tend to glamorize, like, well, if I do this, it's going to look and feel this way, but you already knew the answer to that.
Well, this is the thing, that I had that experience, and I was like, okay, if this is it, and I'm not actually content, then why would I stay here? And I recognize that, it's a privileged position to be in at the university.
You worked for it.
But I did work for it, you're right. And I did have many poor years in Toronto as a grad student. And so I worked for it and then chose the other direction.
And how would you talk about your choice now?
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
While it's still hard, and while I definitely want the security and salary sometimes, or bemoan it, I'm so happy with that choice. I remember thinking, oh, like, how can I quit my PhD? Like, how can I stop that? I've put in so much time. But I also then, I had such relief when I actually said, no, I can actually do this, because I've had the experience. I have the knowledge that I've gained. I did a book of essays on my topic. Like, there's all these things that equate still the sort of success of it without actually having the DR in front of my name.
Right.
Which, when would I ever want? I wouldn't make people call me Dr. Wilcox.
Yeah. Like maybe making a restaurant reservation or something. But...
maybe on the airplane, like, tickets sometimes.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would never have done it. So no regrets.
Yeah, amazing.
When you were young and starting to go down this path and getting on those stages, what did you envision your future being before you went down the educational route? And as you were envisioning, am I going to be on Broadway? Like, what were you seeing there?
Oh, I think that, like, Broadway was for sure, as a younger kid, musicals were a thing of mine. Not so much these days, but I was definitely infatuated with Rent and Sondheim and some darker, like, cabaret. I love that. I still love it. And so I did envision maybe Broadway at that time. But then as I did university, definitely got more into like gritty plays and really not musicals, like scripts. Avid reader. I was such an avid reader. And I remember, like, I graduated from university and I was like, okay, I'm going to read every Sam Shepard play there is. And so I was just creating my own school, my own class, and reading these plays that were really, like, surreal or dark or absurd. And that became more the vision for me, that it's like, oh, I want to do the scripts that I think aren't necessarily done a lot. And I want to make that art. I don't want to be mainstream. That was very much, like, 20s Richie was very much, I am not a commercial artist.
Were you writing at that point yourself?
Not really, no. I was I was really into finding the right script. And so that didn't come. Writing and devising was more like, I guess, like, in later 2000s, I started that and collaborating with my friends on queer, crazy scripts. But that was just, it became, like, fun. It was exploration in a rehearsal together. And we, like, we did a Fringe show back in the day. It was our queer parody of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called Pussy on a Shingle.
Yeah.
And it was provocative and like draggy, and it was a mashup of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and the musical Cats. It was so silly, but that was actually really like impactful and influential to me as a creator.
Mm-hmm. I'm always curious about artists who are drawn to a particular type of art like you're describing, and can I replicate this in my own way? And I know we've just kind of talked about that, but I this is something I really love hearing from other artists. Like maybe Mike, you're super into heavy metal, but you have no desire to be a heavy metal singer.
Mm-hmm.
You're still a singer, and like being drawn to some of those pieces that aren't so mainstream. Was that part of the motivation to want to make it? Like make that type of art? Or was it just like, this is who I am anyways, I finally have found my people and something that speaks to me?
I wonder, like I think the mainstream stuff not being mainstream connects to, and I probably couldn't articulate this in previous years or when I was younger, but that I actually do think it connects to me discovering my queer perspective and queerness as well, and just being like, oh no, like I am counterculture. I'm outside the norm, and that coming from Cape Breton in a very heteronormative Catholic town, that leaving there and going to a city, being exposed to many different people, many different thoughts of views, being exposed to art that then actually shows me different worlds, and maybe shows me versions of myself that I want to be. I think it was more that was it was actually cliche as it is, but it was sort of like art being the mirror that I wanted to see.
Right. So you could essentially write the character who maybe you wanted to explore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool.
When did writing come into this? You're discovering the plays you want to do, the characters you kind of want to mold yourself to be.
Yeah.
And obviously we're going to talk about Cobalt Queen very soon, but how did writing come into your process?
I think the first major one that I did all by myself would have been my show New Waterford Boy, which was an autobiographical piece. And largely, I would say 70% of that is actual stories from my life. And then 30% of it is writing that I did, whether it be like poetry or sort of historical information about New Waterford and Cape Breton. And so that was the first one, but that didn't even feel like writing per se, because it was so many stories that I just knew in my body and told throughout the years to people. And then I just had to kind of type it out. But that it was much more natural or organic than when I think about writing, the vision of going on a retreat and in a winter like wonderland and being in a cabin and being like, okay, and now I'm going to write from like 10 to 6.
This is the illusion.
This
of
is the
writing.
major illusion. It's not real. But I did have that illusion as a early writer or beginner writer. But yeah, New Waterford Boy was much more organic, monologues and stories. Then I wrote Good Grief, which was me for sure writing through grief that I was going through. In a sort of triptych of plays. And that was definitely more disciplined and character driven, not autobiographical, just cathartic. And then Cobalt Queen would be the third one. So it's, I'm still, it's not like I've been prolific as a solo writer. This is still early career days as a playwright.
I'd say you've been prolific as a creative contributor.
Yeah.
However,
yeah.
Your resume is a scroll that you roll out of just accomplishments. And
I've definitely done a lot of creative works and plays. Just as like a solo writer, it still feels relatively new to me. And that's exciting. And that's actually, I'm leaning into that. It makes me want to do more.
Right. And having your own production companies as well.
That helps.
Yeah. And did you do that in effort for this to be kind of your stepping stone towards what you're doing now?
I've always been the person that makes my project happen. so that I'm not going to another company normally and being like, hey, can we do this? I'm actually writing the grant and creating the company and being like, we're doing this. And so very, driven that way. And again, I think that does connect to like the non-commercial part, that it's like, you kind of have to be that person to get some of this stuff done because other people don't want to take that risk. And so I had to learn how to write all those grants and how to become a company and learn how to get help and get the other people on your team to then build the company. And very, very happy and proud of what we've done with my company HEIST. That's for sure because of also Sylvia Bell, our managing director, and Aaron Collier, my husband. The three of us are, we have the right skills together to make those projects happen. But for sure, it was being done because, we want to get our work out there.
2 out of the 3 plays that you created reference New Waterford in a very, very large capacity.
Yes.
What does your hometown mean to you? What does New Waterford represent in your eyes?
Yeah. Just so you know, I've been secretly, but not anymore because I'm announcing it now, I've been secretly planning a trilogy of New Waterford plays. And so we're into the second one, but the third one we'll see. But obviously making work about New Waterford, I can't get it out of my brain. It was a very small town growing up, and that I think my show New Waterford Boy explores this, but there's a real I was trying to tackle, the complex question of what my hometown means to me when I wasn't necessarily seeing myself reflected in my hometown as I grew up. But I still loved it and had a great time and a great childhood, and like I loved school. I had great friends. And so it's not necessarily, there's just like gentle critiques that I have of not necessarily the town, but just of society in general, that I can explore when I look, especially back at like the 1980s and 90s, and see what we can do. So I might write about it because I love it, and that I know it so well, and I'm also able to delve into the tough bits in a way that I perhaps couldn't if I was looking at something that I didn't know, that I didn't grow up with. It opens things up for me.
Are there venues there that you can show your work? Like, has the community embraced you in return?
I did New Waterford Boy at my old high school in like the old AV room, the theater. Which
so
was
appropriate.
Which was so good and a ton of fun.
And
lots of people came out and it was really, really lovely. And that with Cobble Queen, we hope to bring it. There's a new theater actually being built with the new school in the next few years. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, knock on all the wood, that we can bring the show to this new theater because...
the Richie Wilcox Theater.
Oh my God. Wow. The head just grew bigger.
Just putting it out
there. I know that with this show specifically, Cobble Queen, there's a lot of people from my hometown that are really wanting to see it, that are messaging me, through Facebook to be like, when is it coming? I'm like, God, I need to get this there.
They're proud of this. I can tell already. Yeah. And I know that you connected with a number of people who have... Okay, well, let's start. I wore my basketball. This was the only basketball. I tried on Mike's old Inverness High jersey, reversible, that he had, but it was more like, I don't know, a moo-moo. Right. So I thought this is in your honor, believe it or not.
Love
my
it.
only basketball thing, but it's from, 1992 or 93?
93, that's when they were first formed.
Yes.
Hey.
But I know, so in my hometown where I grew up in the Annapolis Valley, we have what's called the Walker Classic, which sounds quite similar to this tournament that has inspired part of your work. So tell us about the tournament itself. And I know that you've connected personally with a number of people that have been involved over the years, which I'm sure was a very special part of this performance too.
I love this. So the Walker Classic, I'll look it up because I know that a number of people have parallel events within their hometown. So you don't necessarily need to know Kobold to see the show because a lot of people are like, oh, well, that reminds me of this.
Right.
But Kobold, yeah, I talked to so many people. I interviewed over 50 people. Well, myself and a couple of people helped out. And we talked to coaches, referees, princesses, canteen workers, band teachers, so many people. But because the Kobold does involve the whole town, it is an annual basketball tournament that started in 1982. And it's at Breton Education Center, the high school that I went to, junior high school. And it's a national tournament that it started as a boys tournament and only a boys tournament. And it brought in teams from across the country, which is so huge and different because that doesn't happen in high school usually, that you're traveling from province to province. And then it's a week long and it's sort of like the winter festival for New Waterford. The teams stay in the school. They don't stay at hotels, which is also a major special element. And back in the 80s and early 90s, it was like heyday of Kobold. It was so impactful to me as a child. And I come from a sports family, so I was kind of obsessed with it. And so I really wanted to, make a show about it. And doing 50 interviews, you get to hear a lot of different stories, a lot of different perspectives. And as you can imagine, lots of relationships can form during a week-long tournament at a high school.
Did you go into the interviews having more or less your story formed, or did the interviews inform the writing?
The interviews definitely informed the writing. I knew that I wanted to talk about the pageant, because there was a pageant attached to the basketball tournament where someone would become the Kobold Queen, hence the title. And I knew that I wanted to kind of talk about that and discuss more so the relationships that could happen with local New Waterford girls, especially with these visiting basketball players. That was part of my idea going in, and then to listen to the interviews and see what might come of that. And a lot did come of it.
Did any long-term relationships emerge from that? From like a pageant and a basketball player from...
So, okay.
Or am I giving something away? We're going to see the show, so I don't want to hear...
You're not giving something fully away, but I am going to reference something else. My friend, one of the cast mates, Kumbi, who plays Roz, the lead character who's searching for their birth mother, Kumbi got to go to New Waterford this past week. And just because they were in Cape Breton and they were like, oh, I want to go and visit your hometown since I'm so entrenched in it. And so she went to a pizza shop there and met a person there who learned that Kumbi was in this play about Kobold. And this person was like, well, I have to tell you that I am still in touch with my Kobold boy. And so 30 years later, this woman is still in touch and like exchanges photos of their family with each other and have been there for each other through like deaths of their family members. And so these relationships do last that long, that they are that important and strong sometimes.
Incredible.
Were the players who were coming to the Kobold, did they have to learn about New Waterford? Wasn't that a component of it where there's an educational part?
This is the thing. I think that's kind of amazing that they do this, that all of the players have to read a book that was assigned to them, that's written by Martin Schwartz and Ray Kavanagh, people that were from New Waterford. And that book has like knowledge about the mining history, but also just Cape Breton in general, and maybe important people from Cape Breton. And so all the players to this day still write a test on this material.
Oh my gosh.
And then at the closing ceremonies of the tournament, they give out some scholarships and bursaries to people who scored well.
Oh my gosh.
How did the Kobold come to be? Like, who had the original idea for this, and how did the other teams get involved? This is the
examination question.
Yeah, totally. See if I get the points. I know that an older basketball player, Russell MacNeil, I think brought it up to Lowell Cormier, who was the basketball coach at the time, and the principal, Brian McDonald, and said, we have all of these amazing basketball teams that have won provincials from New Waterford. Like it was, New Waterford is a sports town for sure, and not just basketball. I mean, I was on provincial winning soccer teams in high school. So,
did you play basketball too?
I played like scrimmage basketball.
Yeah.
My brother played in the Coal
Yeah.
and my sister played in the Coal Bowl. But I was more of the fan at that. But yeah, soccer was my sport. But yeah, basketball had a sort of track record of being a really important sport in New Waterford, and so they were like, let's do a tournament and let's combine it with our mining reputation.
Yeah.
And here we are with Coal Bowl 43 years later.
Oh my gosh. And okay, was coal in 1982 still a
Very
prominent
much a
industry? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't until like my high school years in the late 90s that the mines were fully shut down. So they were, it was still going strong.
Did you interview miners?
Let me think about that. Did I interview any miners for this one? No, I did a lot more mining research for New Waterford Boy.
Yeah.
This one, while it's called Coal Bowl, it's not necessarily about the coal.
Sure. Yeah. The Coal Bowl Queen. So, yeah,
exactly.
Were there any interviews that stood out to you or surprised you or inspired you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to give too many away because the show, like half of it is from the verbatim text from the interviews now, and half of it's then from my imagination.
Yeah.
But some of that verbatim text I definitely dialed up and made it way more theatrical, so that also people might not even recognize themselves within the story that they own. But because I'm really inspired by Christopher Guest films like Best in Show or Spinal Tap, these little mockumentaries. And so a lot of these interviews, these verbatim texts, they're just a little bit different. But there are some great, I was really surprised at just some of the long-lasting relationships, as I talked about, that can happen in this week-long event. And also what, like in high school, at least for us in New Waterford, I feel like Coal Bowl gives you the opportunity to see your potential or see a different version of yourself because the whole town becomes different. That like there's all of these new people there. And so the interviews were showing me that some people felt like they had reached some like high potential of themselves within this week and saw that version of themselves. And maybe that helped catapult them out of high school into like their life, or maybe they're looking back at Coal Bowl being like, oh, I wish I could grasp that potential again, which is so sad, but also like lovely, lovely theatrical moment.
Yeah. Tell me about the production, bringing this together, rehearsals, how you selected your cast. Just, I want to get a full feel for this because I know the show is launching.
Yeah. So this has been 8 years in the making, this whole process, this script, and lots of workshops. I love development through phases. HEIST really digs into that. And so casting definitely came out through so many different readings and workshops that we did over the years, where you're kind of working with different actors throughout, and then you're seeing, oh, that puzzle piece actually fits really well when it's that person. And so you kind of make the mental note, and then you continue on, and maybe the next workshop you're like, and now that puzzle piece is there because this person read it and showed me something that I didn't really know or taught me about my own script. And so that the casting of that was really fun to do and see like who, because the relationships are very important. So you're seeing who vibes with each other. And so that was fun too. And then with the production, Aaron, my husband, is a fantastic sound designer who has created some really great 1980s synth pop, sort of Stranger Things inspired.
So excited
for the show because half of the show, well, part of the show is in 1987 and the other part is in 2025. And then he also does a lot of projection. And we do live feed cameras in this show, and we have like an overhead projector because it's 1987. So we're dealing with like transparency. So there's lots of visual design. Like it's a bit of a spectacle with that. Who else? Well, there's 25 characters. So Tamara Kukaran did all the costumes. So 9 actors playing 25 people. There's lots of different, especially 1980s costumes.
Awesome.
And you can imagine some big hair.
Yes. Oh.
How hard is it to get someone not from New Waterford to have a New Waterford accent?
I wondered that too.
And here's the thing. It's so hard
Which is distinct.
It's so distinct. And so it's so hard that I didn't actually ask for it. Because I was like, as a New Waterford person, I can't sit through a show listening to someone try and do it and fail at it. There have been productions that people have seen have come from a way where you're like, that's not a Newfoundland accent. And so it can, I just, as a director, I was like, that's less important to me. Yeah. One of the things that I said during a reading, which I think still is stays true, is that I told the actors, I'm like, you don't need to do a Cape Breton accent for me. But if you can be very passionate and loud and speak fast a lot of the time, you'll get a lot of the flavor of it, which I think is true.
Yes.
And everybody has to smoke, right?
Yeah. Drink Tim Hortons.
Exactly.
What I love about this decision, though, also is because it is a universal theme that everybody can connect to their own small town. It kind of like balances that a little bit.
Totally. Yeah. I think it's working for me. And that there are, people in the show that are, the majority of people are from Nova Scotia. Right. And so you still have the East Coast flavor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You just might not have the hard R that New Waterford might give you.
In the director's seat, is there someone, this is just me wanting to familiarize myself more with your world. Mm-hmm. Is there someone typically that you would bounce ideas off of? Like, do you have a go-to person when you're making decisions like this one, for example?
Yeah, that's Aaron.
Yeah. Okay. Just as your trusted partner and
my
collaborator,
trusted confidant and collaborator. Yeah. He's definitely a number one there. That while we formed the company in 2016, but before that, it was always kind of us going on walks and having creative talks and spitting out ideas to see what spitballing ideas with each other. Yeah. And so that doesn't really stop. Mm-hmm. Perhaps there's more people that I can rely on now, but Aaron's definitely the first one.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I try not to overwhelm you with every tiny thing, but there is something nice about having the reassurance and trust in somebody that, like, yeah, you're on the right path. Well, it's fine. It's good.
We do exactly that. We go for walks out in the area. Totally. So many of our ideas come out just going for getting your blood flowing a little bit, and the ideas start to...
Or driving. Driving is a good one, too.
Well, driving, eureka moments happen while driving. Mm-hmm. I've had, when I was writing Cobble Queen, sometimes I would be on my own driving and an idea would come and I would have to I would do a voice memo just so that, because it would just be a line. Mm-hmm. Like the first line of a scene would come to me. And so I just have to get it down in that moment so that I didn't forget it. Driving. And Aaron and I used to go to, when we lived in Halifax, we just go to the North End Good Robot and sit there and have major epiphanies in conversations about creative ideas or events that we wanted to do or plan or drag numbers or you name it. But it was, he's sober now, so we don't necessarily go to a Good Robot, but those conversations are necessary to get the creative juices flowing.
Do you think that's just, and I feel the exact same way, do you think that's partially just separating from the environment you're in most of the time and the buzz of other people? You're able to separate from your daily life, and
fully believe in that.
The subconscious just kicks into the full overdrive, and
I need to get away from my daily life, my house, in order to actually tap into it. Right. And maybe I've convinced myself of that, but whatever it is, I did a 2-week playwright retreat in May with Playwrights Atlantic Resource Center to finish off Cobble Queen. And that 2 weeks of just not having to, feed your cat and look after the laundry in your house, or all of those things, that the responsibilities of life, I do need to actually just like let them go by the wayside to get into the flow and get it all out.
Right. For me, it's like I need to get out of my logical brain or my thinking brain. Like, it's taken me a long time as an artist to realize I'm not going to think my way through this problem. And so using the laundry example is something like, I'm going to go do laundry. You're thinking, maybe you're not thinking about the art project, but you're thinking about a process of something you've done a million times before. So going for a walk or a drive in a new place for me is like, yes, it's that separation, but I feel like it's also using a different part of my mind, whether I'm conscious of it or not.
Yeah. And you can get into flow somehow because of that. That definitely has happened to me, and I can fully relate on thinking too much. I've definitely been told, don't overthink it. You can't think about it. It's just going to come to you at some point.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the delivery of a show like Coal Bowl Queen. It comes out, it's out for 2 weeks-ish, around that. And then after that, are you trying to pitch that to other theaters around? Or where does it go from there once the initial performance happens?
Yeah, so we did it in Parsborough first, the Ships Company Theatre, for 2 weeks. And then we'll do it now again from September 11th to the 21st at Alderney with Eastern Front. And then it'll be put away. And as you're saying, my hope is to sell it. Now, it is a big show to sell. And I understand that. But it's a really great package. And so I'm hoping that I can get it out of the province because, hundreds of thousands of people have experienced Coal Bowl over the last 40 years. And so it's not necessarily just Nova Scotia interest. And so I hope, I hope I can get it out of Nova Scotia at least once or twice, and then need to bring it to Cape Breton. Otherwise, I'll hear about it my whole entire life from my mother alone.
And if somebody buys the show, are they hiring the whole cast? Like, does it come as a package deal?
Yeah. I mean, I guess someone could later on ask me for the rights to produce their own version of it. Because I would love to get the script published as well. So happy for that. But right now, I would like this first production to be done at least once or twice more before I give those rights up.
Because you have so many different outlets and disciplines of creativity, from music to writing to being a company owner, you're now releasing the show and directing. What is your idea or feeling of success or making it? And maybe it feels different for each of those things, but just in your life in general.
Yeah. I think for a while, if you had have asked when I was, again, younger, like let's say in my 20s, I thought for the longest time that having a Joe job was like, oh, you're not successful because you have to like rely on something else to make your art. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, no. Like, while I work full time for my own company, HEIST, but it's just as much like admin work. It's not actually making art. It's actually just like a Joe job. And so in my mind. And so for me, there's something about just if you're able to make the art that you want to make, then you are successful. That's all that matters to me. That like, okay, well, maybe I have to do X amount of hours on my computer emailing or doing these grant applications or what have you. But as long as there's a point where I'm actually doing the project that was on my mind, then like, great, that's some success there. Because isn't that what it's about, to get it out there, to do it and see, at least in theater, see what people think of it and see what's connecting, get your voice heard. Those are all things that I feel are successful. Now you can ask me another day and I'd be like, I want X amount of dollars, because security is a big thing as I get older, where I'm like, what will I be doing when I'm, 70 or something, do I have to continue? Can this keep up? What is success at that time? Where it's like, I'm successful because I saved up enough. I only have to do one project a year. That's on my mind a lot these days. But for now, feeling very successful because Cobalt Queen has been a dream of mine for, a long, long time. And now it's being done. And so I helped make that happen in a large way. It wasn't relying on other people. And so that's one version of success.
And it feels, given what you've said, like it can be evolving.
Yes. Oh, it's ever evolving. Because again, as we talked about, success to me at one point was having a PhD or teaching at a university. And that, it's a shifting goal all the time.
Yeah.
But I think asking yourself, if you feel like you're on the right path, is something that I do quite consistently, to be like, okay, well, let's reassess.
I want to pick up on something that you said, because I know a lot of our listeners are artists or aspiring artists and trying to figure out, well, how does that fit into my life? And I very much have had that feeling myself of, if it's not all or nothing, I have failed. I like how you talked about, well, my job here is kind of doing the Joe job. And that might not seem like the point of what you've just shared, but for me, hearing that, it's kind of this beautiful reminder of it's the work itself is not necessarily any different. And if somebody's paying you or you're paying yourself, who cares?
Yeah.
Like that is so liberating to frame it in that way. I've never really heard that.
Yeah.
before.
I mean, I think that, like, I don't know, I was an artistic director at Ship's Company Theatre for 3 years, and I've now been AD at HEIST for a number of years. And there's just so much money that goes into the administrative side of the arts, and you actually want to have the money to do the art and to just feed the artists. And so it can be a bit frustrating. So yeah, that was a bit of a realization recently for me too. And that just giving yourself the freedom to feel okay, to not have the pressure to be like, well, if you do this, like you said, if you do this, then you fail. I've definitely, learned that it's not as black and white.
Yeah. How would you remark on support or, be it funding or otherwise, for the theater landscape in particular?
Oh, well, it's, I kind of wish we lived in Europe or other countries that really have theater and the arts as, like, embedded into the fabric of their life. And that even in Quebec actually has better funding and just better engagement with the culture, because they don't look at it as a tourism thing. It's actually culture. And so, I can get on that soapbox where I find that perhaps federally and provincially, the government can look at, the arts as specifically to get the tourism dollar. And I don't, of course, not being mainstream, I don't look at it at all like that.
Yeah.
And so I can get frustrated with that. But I also have to say that we got more funding through operating in Arts Nova Scotia grants recently from the government, which then allowed HEIST to get operating funding, which gives us more security over a number of years. And so there have been changes that have been really positive, and allow me to do what I do.
Good.
You often hear of different forms of art, whether it being film, TV, or a book being adapted for the stage. Does the opposite ever happen? Does a play ever get turned into maybe a show or a movie?
It definitely does. Taylor Olson did a adaptation of Catherine Banks' play Bone Cage and did it into a movie. And it's like you're reading my brain, because I do really want to see if I can get Cobalt Queen adapted into either a TV show or film, because I think it's perfect fodder.
Just the concept of it. There's so much nostalgia attached to it. Nostalgia is always big. It feels especially big right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, small towns are a thing that's in the mainstream a little bit right now. So I feel like, because I asked that question thinking it would turn into a good film or show or
come see it and let me know.
But we got tickets for Sunday.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
But I do think that it will. It could easily be adapted into one. And again, being inspired by Christopher Guest films anyway, and so it's the structure of it fits quite well, and the small town aspect that you're talking about, I think, like, it has CBC written all over it.
Yeah. Is there a performance that comes to mind over your years, be it a venue or excellent writing, that is a standout for you that you'd like to comment on?
Like any performance that I've seen?
Yeah, I mean, that's like a very loaded question, of course, for someone who's consumed so much, but...
No, I love it because I do actually have one that I can reference right away. And now I won't say it's the one, but one of the ones that stands out. It was a production in Edinburgh that I saw of a novel that was adapted into a play. The novel was called A Little Life, which was known as, a very, very traumatic novel. Lots of trigger warnings would be needed for this production. There were none. And we watched it, and it was 4 hours long.
Yeah.
It had 2 intermissions, and I'm not used to that. As a North American audience, we're not used to that. And living with these characters and this writing for that length of time, you just were so absorbed into it that I didn't want it to end, and it didn't feel like 4 hours. And that the journey that we went on, I think the 3 of us, Aaron and Sylvia and I, went together, and we stayed in the audience for half an hour after, just like crying and leaning on each other and talking it out, and then left the theater after, now 4.5 hours. The next day we ran into one of the actors on the street just walking by us, the lead actor. We were just so amazed. So we were like, you're a real person.
Yeah.
And how can you do this every day? Because it's so emotional. But that piece will forever stick with me because it felt so real.
And having that length of time, I mean, we would, most of us have probably sat for 5 hours watching Netflix at some point in our life, right? It seems like a long time, but you do get so invested that, of course, you want more.
Yes.
And being in it, being immersed in the environment would be all the more.
It was fully enveloping, and that I feel I'm kind of on that journey now where I'm like, give me my bang for my buck. Like, give me the big show. I went and saw Fall on Your Knees at Neptune, which was a 2-parter, because that's a big novel by Henry MacDonald. And they did 2, I think they were like 2.5 hour shows. And so we saw one the first week, and then the next weekend we saw the second one to finish off the play. And I just kind of love now this epic time at the theater, where maybe relating back to, like, again, my younger self, where I'm like, okay, it's not fluff. This is like important work, which I always make fun of. But it does feel important when it's that long and that you're digging into the topics and the people that much.
It's amazing what good art can make us feel.
Yeah.
Like, we were in South by Southwest, and we saw a movie, a one-shot movie, called Brother versus Brother. And it's 2 brothers in it, and I guess it's labeled as a musical.
Okay.
And not in like a Broadway musical sense. They're just kind of walking around playing some songs here and there at different bars. A live shot all throughout San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
And we're still talking about that. Like, every few days, something from that comes up where we reference that, or an idea that they had in the film is something, we should try that in some capacity, not necessarily in filming, but just that the way they approached it.
Totally.
And it's, when you consume a piece of art like that, and like what you experienced over there, that can shift so much inside you, and in such a positive way.
Yeah, and you're seeing like such innovation and creativity that just lands with
Yeah.
you. There's a lighting piece that was done in Fall on Your Knees by Leanne Vardy, who does the lights for Cobalt Queen. And I will never forget that image, that it was just these beautiful blue spotlights on large crystal singing bowls.
Incredible.
And just like, yeah, it was so beautiful. And that can bring up a feeling, just thinking about it again.
Yes. Even if it has nothing to do with your own discipline, those are actually the moments.
Yeah.
I went to see Stuart Legier's solo show that he did at Alderney, and I left feeling so like what an act of bravery that felt like to me.
Yeah.
And I left feeling more brave because, well, if someone else is willing to put themselves out there in this way, then maybe I can too.
Yes.
It wouldn't be that because I just, I mean, it's not my strength, but I left feeling stronger because of his courage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stuart's a great friend, and that show also, showcased such vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I just saw Liam Poole's workshop of a show last night at the Fringe called How to Knit, and that was amazing vulnerability. And that it is inspiring to be like, okay, well, if you can say that in front of a group of people, what can I do?
Permission. It gives us permission to do that thing that maybe we were a little bit afraid to do.
Yes. And I know you were at the live taping of Tara Thorne's interview we did at Togetherland, and no secret, Tara is very honest and upfront and
we love her for it.
Yeah. Everyone loves her for it. Like, I would say that's part of just her identity what another courageous way to show up in the world.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. Like, I think with Cobalt Queen, there's a bit of me giving myself permission to state some of the things and like gentle critiques of Cape Breton and growing up queer in this world, in this land in the 80s and 90s. That I allowed myself to say some things that I just wasn't able to voice or even articulate to myself back then.
Beautiful.
Which is freeing.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything, Richie, that you had hoped we would ask or talk about today that we may have overlooked? And if not, let's do the rundown one last time of where folks can buy tickets to the show and the dates and location.
Yeah, I think this has been great and have nothing left unsaid. Meanwhile, on the drive home, I'll be like, oh no. But Cobalt Queen is happening at Eastern Front Theatre, Alderney Landing Theatre in Dartmouth from September 11th to the 21st. Tickets can be found at either the liveheist.com website or easternfronttheatre.com. And I hope to see you all there.
Well, we can't wait.
We're very excited.
Mike's both a basketball and Cape Breton fan.
Yeah.
So.
And fan of theater.
And
so
fan
it's
of
like,
theater.
Wow.
I'm your perfect audience,
right? I wrote it for you.
Definitely more a fan of yours as well. So thank you for your time today. I know you've been hard at rehearsing and preparing, and you made a point to drive all the way out here and hang out with us today.
It's so great to chat with you too.
Yeah,
I really appreciate being here, and also just being able to like riff on art. I could do it all day.
Awesome. We'll do it again.
We're honored to have you in our space, Richie, and just very, very impressed with all that you've accomplished so far and what you're going to. Can't wait to see all the things that are in your future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for tuning in, folks.
See you next week.
Cheers.
Make It with Mike and Kristen is recorded and produced by Michael S. Ryan at Hot Jupiter Sounds.
Intro and outro music by me as well.
Cover art by Emily Rankin at Take Note Graphic Design, and photography by Candace Moore.
If you cool cats want to help us out, the best way to spread the word is by telling a friend about us. Tell your mom, tell all your buds. Word of mouth is still the best way to reach people. It's free for you and helps us immensely. And if you're into it, you can like and subscribe and all that stuff too.
Another way to support us is through our Patreon. We have a number of super fun tiers and perks like bonus content, handwritten postcards, creative coaching, and so much more. Find us at patreon.com/Mike and Kristen.
For the makers, the dreamers, and the figuring it outers, have fun trying to make it out there, friends.